Okay, I'd like to broach the subject of the R&B support mechanism compared to like a heavy pop or rock support mechanism because I want to clarify some things that are really important. The first thing is if you don't grow a really strong abdominal diaphragmatic support mechanism, you will not be able to robustly sing big choruses or big bridges or whatnot. And that's the first thing. And I think that's really important because you're going to find that you're always kind of struggling and stressing in the throat to try to sing lightly on a sound. The second thing is if you also don't grow a big robust chest voice or a big robust sound with the support mechanism, you won't be able to create mixed voice up higher in your register. You'll always have to drop down in your head voice really early, and you're never going to be able to pull that sound through your mixed voice and have a big long percentage or a nice grid, so to speak, from over 4 or 5 notes of growing your passaggio. So now, good examples of a great mixed sound and people with strong support is guys like Luther Vandross. Awesome, just amazing. I mean, the guy can just seriously awesome. I'd say Donny Hathaway would be another guy, maybe not super gnarly, but pretty doggone good. Mariah Carey would be another great one. Whitney Houston would be another. So as you listen to these guys, they can be sensitive and really genteel on the sound. They're not always having to belt, though they can, but it's how they're able to control their voices and the percentage of mixed voice where they want to be in the sound. So they're not limited to something. So I'm encouraging you guys to grow a really strong support mechanism for those if you grow it like you want to belt, but don't have to, if you know what I mean. So create a big, strong, powerful engine and then use it, however that best suits whatever corner that you want to take and whatever, driving range you're on. So, but that's the first thing. The other thing too is that if also you don't grow the support mechanism, you're going to find, as I mentioned, kind of straining in the sound. So I want to give some examples of percentages of strength in the abdomen. And I'll pick let's just pick like Stevie Wonder's. Let's do Superstition, okay? So if I were to say, I'm going to take it down a lot in a key so I'm not shouting at you and you can do this with me. So if I were to go, very superstitious, the writing's on the wall, 13th month of maybe, right? It's kind of anemic and weak sounding. It sounds like, I just don't have any strength in the core, in my abdomen, right? Let's add a little bit more to that. Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall, 13th month of maybe, right? You can hear a little more strength come in, right? Now, by the way, it's not strength in the throat. You can actually hear it sounds like an engine revving in the center, in the core of my stomach. So, very superstitious, yeah, writings on the wall, right? You can kind of hear the lion sort of, very superstitious. Now let's take it up a little bit so where you can really hear how this plays out. So if I go, very superstitious, the writings on the wall, hear it kind of strains in the throat. Now, a lot of R&B singers do that, but I'm telling you, if you get strength in the abdomen first, you're going to be able to get in a lot of big percentages and have a lot more color in the sound rather than it sounding so pinched and squeezed up top. So let's do this again. Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall. Here's a little bit more strength in the abdomen. Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall. You hear how there's a little less strain in the throat and a little more tiger in my tank, so to speak? Let's do another one. Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall, right? Or 7 years of bad luck. Now let's add a little bit more. Very superstitious, the writing's on the wall. 7 years of bad luck, ladder's about to fall. If you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer, right? So you can hear more and more how much strength is played into this. Now, don't come asking me, where, I can't find my support. Go back to volume 1's, the section I have on the sit-ups. Approximate the sit-up when you're doing the scales. Go back through all that so you can really feel and understand that aha moment of what it's like to have good, strong diaphragmatic support. Okay, now, I could show you this stuff, and I did, but it's really up to you to practice it and get strength in the sound. And don't think for a minute, that just because you're pulling in your stomach, that you actually are using diaphragmatic support. No, you can actually be bound up in the stomach. Belters do it all the time, where they get all bound up in the abdomen and they're really not using any support. So just because you're able to go through the motions of having your belly come out and come back in the inhale, exhale of that, it doesn't mean you're actually using support. It just means you're understanding a little bit of how the mechanics works, but you're not digging in and pulling in like that sit-up back again in the first part of this whole series on support. So that's another thing. So I can show you this, and you guys, if you don't do this on your own, it's really up to yourselves to practice this stuff. Now, another thing too, and I want to get back to the crossing of the passaggio, you're going to also find that if you're able to strengthen the sound, like I've said before, you're going to be able to strengthen your chest voice and hand your chest voice off later and later and later to mixed voice, or have a much larger grid of where your chest and head mix, so you can have greater percentages of mixed voice with strength, because you're able to pull in that strength, the passaggio. Now, I promised I was going to talk a little bit about the snap of the voice, and I think this is important too. Now, I did the little thing on the guitar where I hit it and I showed you a snap. Now, if you take your abdomen, and if I were just to go from my chest, hey, or hey, 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 from my chest, there's a little bit of strength there, right? Hey! But if I take my whole abdominal cavity and go, hey, 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 then all of a sudden I have this big, like, kind of like, have you ever squeezed a dog and the dog goes, or someone's going to come up and kind of sucker punch you in the stomach real quick, and you're ready for it. So if you could identify what that sound would sound like, you're ready for it. Maybe, you're kind of like, hiya, you're tight in the sound. Now, I don't want anyone to be tight in the abdomen. That's not the point of this. I just want you to understand the strength of it and how it relates to giving you power, so that you can utilize percentage of it smoothly, so you can relax the chest, the neck, and the throat. Okay, so guys, this is really, really golden information. If you're really willing to go the distance on this stuff and not try to take shortcuts, even for you R&B guys out there, you're going to find that this will be an ornament around your neck, and it's really going to benefit you in the long run. Okay, let's continue.